Hello everyone, and welcome back to Machine's Visit. What if I told you that something as small and ordinary as a raisin is actually the result of a massive, highly controlled agricultural operation? Every single year, the United States produces over 2.4 billion pounds of grapes, along with millions of carefully engineered grapevines. And hidden behind those numbers is a system so precise, so calculated, that most people never even realize it exists. From the sun-drenched vineyards of California, where rows stretch endlessly under the heat, to the final chewy raisins sitting quietly in your kitchen. This journey is far more complex than it seems, because these aren't just grapes. They're grown, shaped, and transformed with near-perfect control. Each vine is carefully propagated and monitored, and pushed to perform. Each grape is harvested with precision, then processed into those sweet, chewy raisins we all recognize. A simple snack on the surface, but the product of an industry built on efficiency and perfection. So the real question is, how does something so small go through such an intense transformation? Stay with us, because once you see the process, you'll never look at raisins the same way again. Let's begin. California, especially the Central Valley, isn't just another farming region. It's the undisputed heart of America's raisin production, responsible for nearly 100% of the nation's supply. More than 1,500 farmers manage over 100,000 acres of vineyards here, all operating in near-perfect conditions. Warm climate, fertile soil, controlled irrigation. It's not luck, it's design. And at the center of it all is one specific grape, the Thompson Seedless, a grape so perfectly suited for drying that it dominates the entire raisin industry. Naturally sweet, thin-skinned, built to transform, almost like it was made for this purpose. But here's where things get even more interesting. This entire process doesn't start with grapes. It starts with something much smaller, something almost invisible. Tiny grapevine cuttings. The entire system begins with mother vines, plants that are constantly monitored, inspected, and protected. No disease, no weakness. Only the best are allowed to continue, because one mistake here can affect thousands of plants later. During winter, when the vines go dormant, workers carefully cut sections from these mother plants. Timing is critical. One wrong move, and the entire batch can fail. These cuttings are bundled, loaded, and transported to specialized production facilities. And this is where nature meets control. At the facility, machines take over. Each cutting is straightened, trimmed, and standardized. Imperfections are removed instantly. Only uniform, high-quality pieces move forward. Because inconsistency is not tolerated. The rootstocks are gathered, bundled, and then exposed to carefully formulated chemical solutions designed not just to grow them, but to push them toward optimal performance. At the same time, budwood is trimmed with the same precision. Then comes one of the most critical and least understood steps: grafting. Using a technique known as omega grafting, each cutting is fused onto a rootstock with extreme accuracy. This isn't simple farming anymore. This is biological engineering. Every connection must be perfect. Too loose? It fails. Slightly misaligned? It dies. Each graft is inspected, one by one, because survival here is not guaranteed. After grafting, the vines are treated with specialized solutions, protecting them from disease while accelerating healing. Then they are placed into trays filled with a moisture-rich medium like coir, where temperature and humidity are tightly controlled. For about 18 days, everything is monitored. No randomness, no guesswork, only controlled growth. Once the young plants reach the required standard, they are coated in paraffin wax, sealing in moisture and protecting them from environmental stress. It's like armor for something still fragile. And then they are sent out into the real world. Planting begins with advanced machinery. Workers carefully feed each seedling into rotating systems that place them into the soil with perfect spacing and depth. At the same time, the soil is compressed just enough to secure the roots without damaging them. Efficiency meets precision. As the vines grow, they are fed through drip irrigation systems, receiving exact amounts of water, nutrients, and growth stimulants. Nothing is left to chance. Even pests and diseases are managed with calculated control systems. Because in this industry, loss is not an option. At the end of the growing cycle, when the plants go dormant again, they are harvested using machines designed to lift them without damaging roots or stems. They are bundled, processed, inspected again. Anything below standard is removed. Then comes another protective treatment, a green solution that shields the roots from bacteria while preserving moisture. After that, the seedlings are stored in cold facilities, almost like they're being paused in time, waiting until they are needed again. Eventually, these vines are shipped to commercial vineyards, where the real production begins. Fields are prepared using heavy machinery. Posts are installed to create trellis systems, guiding how each vine grows, how it spreads, and even how it absorbs sunlight. Because even sunlight is managed, the vines are planted once again with machine precision, then maintained using pruning machines, sprayers, and automated weed cutters, all designed to maximize output while minimizing effort. And after 2 to 3 years, the vines finally begin to produce grapes. In California, this happens between May and June. Then, over the next 3 months, those grapes slowly reach peak ripeness. But here's the twist most people don't expect. Some grapes are never picked fresh. Instead, they are left on the vine, intentionally. Over the next 2 to 3 weeks, under the intense California sun, they begin to dry naturally. Their color shifts, their texture changes, they shrink and transform. This is where grapes become raisins. Machines then move through the vineyards, gently shaking the vines so the dried grapes fall onto soft collection systems below. No damage, no waste. The raisins are laid out, dried further, then collected again using specialized equipment. But in some cases, there's an even faster method. Farmers harvest fresh grapes and treat them with solutions that accelerate drying, turning them into raisins in just days instead of weeks. Faster, more controlled, more efficient. Once fully dried, the raisins are transported to processing plants. And this is where the final transformation happens. They pass through vibrating systems that remove debris, then into washing systems that clean them thoroughly. After that, drying systems remove any remaining moisture. Then sorting begins. Machines separate them by size, color, and quality. Anything imperfect is rejected. Finally, human workers step in, carefully inspecting raisins one last time on moving conveyor belts. Because even with all this technology, human eyes still matter. In the final stage, the raisins are sealed into airtight packaging, locking in freshness, flavor, and shelf life, then shipped across the world. From massive California vineyards to your kitchen shelf, what started as a tiny cutting becomes something millions of people eat every day. And yet, almost no one realizes the level of control, precision, and hidden complexity behind it. So next time you grab a handful of raisins, just remember, you're not just eating dried grapes. You're eating the result of an entire system. If you found this journey surprising, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories you've never seen before. We'll see you in the next video. Rock it!